Good morning. Welcome into Five Clubs on this Tuesday. It is Veterans Day, and we certainly honor all of those who serve this great nation. If you're watching on Golf Channel, if you're listening on PGA Tour Radio, that is Channel 92 on Sirius XM. I'm Gary Williams. This program is brought to you by Century Insurance, right by you. If you have business insurance needs, let them meet them. They will be right by you. Plus, they're involved in the game of golf in great ways with the USGA, with the First Tee. Proud to have them as our presenting sponsor. Golf Pride, when it comes to grips, was around people who play at the highest level the last couple of days. They're all playing Golf Pride. Why wouldn't they? That's why you do as well. Better materials, more offerings. It is Golf Pride. And Peter Millar, this little Solstice Performance hybrid cardigan with these knitted sleeves and the back panel, my gosh. This is money. It could be yours, probably not in this medium, at petermillar.com. They are the best lifestyle apparel line out there. I mentioned Veterans Day. My mom actually sent to our entire family, it's called Nanny's Clan, the text chain, my dad's Armed Forces card from when he served at like 5:30. She's also the unofficial stenographer of the show. Anything said that she likes or dislikes is reviewed after the program. All right, when I got in the car this morning, I looked at the onboard temperature. You know who was looking back at me? Eric Dickerson, 29. 29 degrees here in the Queen City of Charlotte, but it's going to rise up to maybe be in the mid-40s, but they will be in Bermuda this week on the PGA Tour. They're in Dubai for the final event on the DP World Tour. So with that being said, Matt Every, who is now the co-host of The Loop, that you can see weekly on Golf Channel from PGA Tour Productions, two-time winner on the PGA Tour. He's going to be with me in less than 15 minutes. And then a little bit later on, somebody who has been with Sky Sports since the beginning, Tim Barter, who has also spent his life teaching at a very, very high level. He has worked with the likes of Seve Ballesteros and right now still working with Richard Bland and in between guys like Andrew Coulthard. I'm looking forward to getting Tim's perspective on Rory being on the doorstep of winning his 7th Harry Vardon Trophy, which is the Order of Merit, of which Colin Montgomery has 8. Seve, where Rory currently sits, has 6. To give context of the difference in the accomplishment then for those players, which was really built on events and performance on the European Tour, now the DP World Tour. With Rory, it's a handful of DP World Tour events and a lot of production in major championships and maybe an additional co-sanction event like he had at the Scottish, where he ran neck and neck and he was outclassed right at the end there by Chris Gotterup. So Tim Barter, Matt Every on the program here. Plus I will share with you at the end of the program where I was Sunday night. So I was not able to do the show yesterday. And when you're in the company of the person and people that I was with, it's something else. It's not only not getting tired of it, I never take for granted the fortune that has been bestowed upon me to not only have these conversations, but share time, all for a very good cause. So in lieu of us not being here yesterday, I do want to mention a couple things about the guys who won over the weekend. And let me start with Ben Griffin. Ben Griffin, even if he did not have that interlude where he was like, you know what, I'm not sure I can do this. I'm going to go on and I'm going to do something else, which he did for a brief period of time, being a loan officer. And this is a young man who I mentioned when he won for the first time. Little Benny Griffin was a very good player at the club that my parents lived on the 5th hole. And my dad always had a very stocked cooler. So when you walked off, even though the 6th tee was slightly to the right and our backyard was slightly to the left, there was good reason to go to my dad's cooler because he satisfied all needs. If you needed a cold one, and you know what kind, he had that. But if you needed a soda, you needed a Gatorade, he had that too. And little Benny Griffin would go by that cooler and pick out a soft drink or a Gatorade and move on to the next hole. And, you know, when somebody's a kid, you're like, hey, he's a nice little player. You never know. He went on to the University of North Carolina. And like I said, he had enough doubt that he left. He left and he came back. even if he didn't leave and he was toiling, and let's say he was kind of elevating himself to the PGA Tour and then being relegated back to the Korn Ferry Tour, and then he finally found his footing at the age of 29 and he did this, you'd still say, wow. Say wow twice. He's a three-time winner, and if you want to say, well, the Zurich Classic, Andrew Novak, that was a team event, do we really want to do that? Do we really want to extrapolate team wins away from Sam Snead and Ben Hogan? So let's not do it to Ben Griffin, because on their official win total, there were team wins. Snead got to 82, 5 of them were with a partner. So this 3-win season, not to mention 12 top 10s and 17 top 25s, and being on a Ryder Cup team and playing well, and now being the 9th ranked player in the world, and I get it, if we want to add some very interesting good numbers that some people have put together. Robos, you know who you are, who is trying to determine if Rahm and if Hatton and if DeChambeau were eligible, where they would sit. The point is that Ben Griffin is among the best players in the world. And for Ben Griffin to win 3 times, and by the way, those 30 starts, what's wrong with you, Ben? Because the previous year you played 35 times. And the year before that, you played 37 times. He has 102 starts in the last 3 seasons. That is going Mark Brooks, late 80s, early 90s. Brooksy, if you're out there, you know, if you didn't play 30 times a season, there must have been something dead wrong with you. So he plays a lot, and he likes to play golf, and he's awfully very good at it. My question is, and this is to take nothing away from it, what he's already done, can he continue to ascend? And I'm not talking about, hey, next year win 4. What I'm saying is, when you put yourself here, Ben Griffin now has the trappings that you would ever want, because he's now in the inner sanctum of elite golf. He will be in all the majors. He's in all the Signature Series events. And that, to me, when you put yourself in that position, it's kind of like when we were evaluating Max Homa in major championships, and really it might have been his second year where he was fully exempt in all 4. I myself give them a gestation period to get used to that environment. And then you start to really evaluate their performance and say, well, he's been good in the majors, or he's been average in the majors. Now for Ben Griffin, can you sustain this in the sense that, can you prove over time? And that, to me, is going to get to the latter part of the conversation with Tim Barter. And that is, you know, can you stay there? Because let's just take a look, because we have 2 events left on the PGA Tour. They're in Bermuda. Nothing like being there on that island, whether it is on the east end or the west end, and every little, whether it's Paget Parish or anywhere else, right in the middle of the island, it's all delightful. And then the RSM next week, which is equally delightful in Sea Island. Let's take a look at these guys, because 51 to 60, if you hold this position, the top 50 at the end of the Tour Championship, we know are fully exempt in all the Signature Series events. These guys get these golden opportunities early in the year. With the first 2 Signature Series events, they will be in those events. And so whether it's Pebble Beach or the Genesis back at Riviera, those guys, that is really important, because then you really set yourself up to say, okay, now I'm in these events where the field is condensed. One has no cut, one, the Genesis does, and it's a modest cut, but the fields are light. And then you look at the guys who are just on the outside. Patrick Rogers was a mover this week. So Patrick Rogers now has a reasonable chance over the next couple of weeks to play his way into those couple of Signature Series events. And by the way, you notice some names of some guys who won events. Stephen Fisk, we had him on at Grayson Murray's event. He won in Mississippi. Joe Highsmith, another one who won an event at the Cognizant. I've said this, look, winning is the hardest thing. And the PGA Tour makes it very clear that we should celebrate people who win. Celebrate them and exempt them in a couple of Signature Series events. Don't they say, well, you won, that's great. Now keep doing more to get into Signature Series events. A win on a PGA Tour should be a green light into 2 Signature Series events. if you really want to celebrate the most elusive thing that any player who's fully exempt on the PGA Tour can do, give them at least 2 starts in signature series events. And then finally, this is about employment. This isn't so much about, those glorified speakeasies that are signature series events. Let's show the last panel, which is, this is employment here. Now, some guys, based on certain things, like Tom Kim, because of wins, Tom Kim is fully exempt through next year, so he's not in peril of relegation. Adam Scott will play virtually wherever he wants, kind of whenever he wants. But these guys are in a position where, and by the way, Torbjorn Olesen is one of those guys who used performance on the DP World Tour to make his way onto the PGA Tour, and he has a chance to fulfill being fully exempt. And there you see, some guys, and again, a guy like Austin Eckroat, he's got multiple wins. Billy Horschel, his position at 105. He had an injury. Billy's going to play, kind of wherever he wants, obviously, next year. But then you have some guys where there really is jeopardy. Now, 101 to 125, you have conditional status, where it used to be fully exempt status. So those are all storylines which can kind of, I'm not to say carry the fall, but for people who, again, and I'll say it every time I say this, watch this channel, and God love you for doing it, you're loyal, they know what's going on, but these are storylines that you can tell over the course of the fall season. All right, let me quickly mention Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai was on with us at the Memorial back at the end of May, early part of June. And Aaron Rai outlasted Tommy Fleetwood in a playoff in Abu Dhabi. Now, he won on the PGA Tour last year at the Wyndham. If you remember, Billy Horschel was kind of, cheering him on, paired with him coming down the stretch. And Aaron Rai, not only is he among the most delightful people, he's also somebody who exhibits an amazing amount of gratitude for being able to do what he does. He's another guy, he's 30. Think about this. Aaron Rai turned professional when he was a teenager, and Aaron Rai was not in a position to garner sponsor exemptions into places like the Travelers Championship or the Farmers Insurance Open. You know where his journey in professional golf began? The Slovakia Challenge. I'm not making that up. And here he sits today, having won again. He won the Scottish Open in 2020. He is now a 3-time winner on the DP World Tour. Obviously, I mentioned that one win on the PGA Tour. This is not the highest he's been ranked. After he won the Wyndham, he got to 22 in the world and then edged up to being a top 20 player in the world. But Aaron Rai is somebody who, again, everybody's journey is different. And whether it's playing golf or whatever it is that you do, you're not racing against others. It's your own race. Just keep running. And that's what he's done. And one little caveat about Aaron Rai, well, 2. One, when we had him on at the Memorial, it just so happens I was walking out of the lobby of our hotel and he was walking in. And I can just tell you, we were not staying in an old bearish property. This guy, there's a modesty to him that is so endearing. And last thing, that driver he used to split fairways, including the 18th hole, where Tommy hit it by him 15, 18 yards, I don't know. That's a 7-year-old driver. How great is that? Last thing, this was announced yesterday. We were the ones who announced that the event was going to happen here on this program. I had Johnson Wagner in, who's going to be part of the broadcast. The Golf Channel games. Let's just quickly show the rosters. I know that this was information that was released yesterday. So Scheffler adds his boy Burns, Sam Burns, Luke Clanton, and the captain, El Capitan, Keegan Bradley will be Team Scheffler. And Rory, it's funny, Scheffler adds his guy Burns. We knew that Rory was going to get Shane. Hao Tung Lee, who is a very effervescent guy, he'll be great television. So the 2 captains of the respective American and European Ryder Cup teams will be on Scheffler and Rory's teams. That, of course, will be December 17th under the lights down there in Jupiter. All right, we take a break. When we continue, he won twice on the PGA Tour. Now, he's just a TV golf gas bag. He knows it. Matt Every will join me, get his thoughts on making that transition from player to analyst and co-host of The Loop, and a little bit later on, Tim Barter from Sky Sports in Dubai to talk about the last event. Great to have you with us. Great to be home. It's a Tuesday here on 5 Club's Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio's Channel 92 on Sirius XM. Back with Matt Every right after this. Back in, it is a Tuesday here on 5 Club's Golf Channel, also PGA Tour Radio. That's Channel 92 on Sirius XM. This segment brought to you by Peter Millar. I thought about wearing, 5 layers coming in here. It's 29 degrees. It'd all be Peter Millar, including this little Solstice Performance Hybrid Full Zip Cardigan, which you can get at petermillar.com. All right, joining me now, he's got his own line of clothing. He's stylish, 2-time winner on the PGA Tour. He's the co-host of The Drop. I said The Loop. That is hitting it out of bounds off the opening tee and having to re-tee. He is, of course, Matt Every. Good morning, my friend. How you doing?
Doing great, Gary, and that's okay, man. You know, you made your mistake, but you pitched out, and we're back in play now.
We are. It is The Drop. So let me start there. Look, as somebody who pursued this, you were awfully good early. You go to one of the best college programs. You win twice on the PGA Tour. You're not thinking, I don't think, periodically about your own golfing mortality, but now you're covering the game. What have you learned about the tour, now covering the tour?
Oh, man, I've learned I'm not good enough to play anymore. It's so tough out there, Gary. You know, the more golf I watch, these guys, they play the correct shot every time. I think for me, you know, I took on too many risks in my career. I felt like I could pull off everything, even if I couldn't. And there's a place to bail out on the PGA Tour, and sometimes it's okay. That is probably what I've learned the most.
It's interesting. I was around some guys who were, over the age of 50 on Sunday, and we were talking about, style and reliance on, not reliance, but the availability of data. Where you were probably on the cusp of seeing that coming into the game. Did you like it? Did you have an appetite for it?
No, I still am not crazy about it. I've never owned a TrackMan or any kind of launch monitor. I know I'm not alone in that bucket, but there's quite a bit of people now that it's almost like a pacifier for those guys when they go to the range. They have that TrackMan in tow. But you're right. Like when I was coming through college, that's kind of when that stuff was getting introduced. And I remember, just growing up as a kid and being kind of on the raw side, having 1 or 2 swing thoughts and just rolling with that through the bag, really. And then when this, TrackMan came out and these measuring devices, you started to learn how to max out with things, especially driver. And I had to change. I had 1 swing thought through the bag. Well, all of a sudden with driver, I got to change my swing now to max out. I didn't like that. Also kind of where the CG was, or the hot spot on the head, the driver heads, that changed around that time too. It went from kind of on the lower part of the face or the center of the face to the top of the face. So there was a little bit of change there. I'm still not crazy about it. I totally understand the need for it. But I just didn't learn to play golf that way.
I was talking about Ben Griffin to start the program. And look, you see guys that whether it's a light goes on, the belief is fully in bloom. But is there anything about what he did this year that tells anything, proves anything, shows anything that you think is most noteworthy?
I'm a massive fan. First off of Ben. We all know his story with the going into the real world and then just for a second. But, I was listening before I came on to you, Gary, and I don't think this is going anywhere for a while. I love the way he gets it done. It definitely doesn't look like he grew up with a TrackMan. I mean, that move is his move. It's unique. And he's dominated it. His attitude for me is number one. number one strokes gained attitude. I mean, Malnati's probably close up there with him, but
Yes.
But Ben Griffin he's a blast to watch. He's entertaining. I'm a big fan of his golf game. Dude, that guy bombs it off the tee, and he's a sneaky athlete. I remember walking by him this year up at Quail during the PGA, and he was jumping rope outside the physio trailer, and I was blown away. I mean, I'm like, it was impressive stuff. So I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's getting better.
That's awesome. Since you had the balance, you experienced the Korn Ferry Tour. You had all those years. You won at one of the hardest places to win in back-to-back years at Bay Hill. If I took the top 20 in the FedEx Cup standings and they're in the field, then the balance of the field, we replace the names with the games of guys on the Korn Ferry Tour. What, if anything, would the fans in person notice, or what would be noticeable about whether it was data or stats? Anything?
Well, I think, distance-wise, you might see guys a little bit longer on the Korn Ferry Tour, and that might be because the courses are different.
Yes.
And it's bombs away out there, so those guys can really stretch it out. The top 20 in the world, though, PGA, the top 20 in the world, though, Gary, like, those guys are sharp everywhere. They're polished everywhere. There's no real liability. If there is, they're so good in another area, they can kind of cover it up. That's a good point, though. And that gap's starting to close more and more, especially as we kind of go into lesser and lesser guys maintaining their PGA Tour status. Yeah,
so the top 20 are there. So we know what they are, and then beyond that, all these guys are so good. My point is that the margins are so slim, and these primarily younger guys, like you said, probably a little bit more length if you took the Korn Ferry Tour guys, which gets to the point about this 100-person tour. Where is your mind? Where was your mind when it was announced, and is it in the same place now as it was then?
Oh, man. I try to think for everyone across the board when it comes to this. During my career, I would have fallen into a guy that this probably wouldn't have benefited for most of my career. I understand it. I'm not crazy about it. I'm really not crazy about no-cut events. I think even if we do have these signature events, and if our schedule gets smaller, there still needs, even if it's 70 guys, whatever, like, there needs to be a cut to 40. There needs to be some kind of penalty for bad golf. It's too hard to play your way out of those signature, or to play your way out of a card if you qualify for those signature events, especially if there's no cut.
Yeah, I'm with you. Look, that's why I admire what you did and what they do, is that if you're not good enough for 2 days, there are consequences. And I just think that is inherent to the meritocracy of the best tour in the world. If I said to you over the next 18 to 24 months there was going to be somebody who, whether it be on performance or narrowing the gap significantly to where it's like in play with Scotty in the world rankings, is there someone you would say, yeah, it'll be him?
Oh, man, I don't see it. I think Scotty's no, I don't. Do you have someone in mind?
No, I don't.
It's pretty impressive what he's doing.
I had you on to answer this question.
I don't see it. Listen, I'm buying stock in Ben Griffin still. I mean, I feel like that's an aggressive play. I could totally see where someone would be like, maybe not. But as far as closing the gap with Scotty, dude, I think we're here. We're hanging in this area for a while.
Okay. With setups and athleticism being what they are, is there a trait or a skill that you possess that you think would be more or less valuable today than it was then?
Ooh, that's a good one, man.
Has something been devalued? Look, athleticism.
Yes. The hybrids in the pro game has devalued quality mid to long iron play big time. I mean, You give a guy like Keegan or Adam Scott or somebody that can just hit these high towering 4-irons, and then you give a guy kind of on the lower end of the ball striking out there, and you give him a hybrid, it's the same exact thing, and it's criminal. I mean, you're robbing these guys of like an elite skill. It's more so than the belly putter, the long putter ever was, ever. I mean, you're robbing these guys of an elite skill, and then you get some slappy a hybrid, and it's like it comes down higher and softer. If we ever go to two separate sets of rules, that is one that needs to change.
There really is nothing quite like seeing a majestic long iron. Rory, when he takes it up, it really is majestic to watch. All right, let me get you out of here. 5 to go here with Matt Every. In your years, what was your favorite food joint traveling the tour? Was there a place that you always went back to? And I'm not talking about chains. I'm talking about a place that was off the beaten track, great food.
Yeah.
It just was a joint. What was it?
The John Deere. Give me Duck City every year. That's a good hang. No secret amongst the players out there, but that was my favorite spot every year for sure.
Okay. Who is the biggest show off on tour right now? And I mean that in a very complimentary way.
Ben Griffin.
You think
he's an entertainer?
He is. Min-Woo Lee has got some sauce to him. I mean,
that's true. Yeah, he does.
He does.
He does. I'm a Ben Griffin guy. I just am a Ben Griffin guy.
If you wear aviators, you damn well better be able to play, and he does. All right. The last time, be honest, that you threw a golf club.
Man, honestly, the picture that got taken of me at the Byron Nelson where I'm throwing it is the last time. It's probably the last time I played good enough to get mad, Gary.
And I saw that silhouette Sunday night. DeMarco, I walk into this place where we were both at, and he's got the hat on. And it's such great form. I mean, I don't know. I'm surprised you didn't suffer like Tommy John, where you blew out your ligament right then.
Listen, first of all, Chris is a great rep for our brand, Live Forever Golf. He's been amazing for us, and he looks great, doesn't he?
Oh,
for
absolutely.
A guy, I mean, he really does. Listen, that last time I threw that club, Gary, I did get a little tingling in my shoulder. I'm pretty sure there's a slight tear in my. I know there's a slight tear in my labrum. I'm not sure if it's from that incident, but that was enough for me. I never threw. I was a thrower when things were going good and something bad happened. If it's going bad, I'm not going to waste my energy on that.
That is a great mantra to have. All right, what is the best courtesy car you were ever issued? Was there one car you're like, oh my God, this is as choice as anything?
Yeah. I was always a fan of the Cadillacs. I mean, we got nice stuff out there on the tour. I'll tell you a sneaky one. Is it Hyundai out there at
the Hyundai
Century?
Oh.
Yes. Oh my gosh, man! When we would get those, I was like, because when you hear the name, you're not thinking luxury or awesome, but those things were awesome.
They're high-end sleds. You're like, wow, this is that's a very good one. All right, last thing. Mm-hmm. Who was the most generous player on tour? Whether it was giving you a ride somewhere, and I'm not talking about in a courtesy car.
Yeah, I know.
Always picking up a check. Who was generous?
For me early on, VJ Singh was that guy. He was awesome to me, man. Like he flew me back from LA once, which saved me, half a day of my life. He was great. And then as far as like just generous dudes out there, I mean, this guy's kind of on the back end of his career, but I've always been and kind of looked up to Nick Watney. He's one of the best guys in the world.
Sweetheart.
And he'd give you the shirt off his back.
Yeah, that's very good. Listen, my friend, the show is The Drop, co-hosting down there from your home there in Ponte Vedra. I look forward to doing this again. Have a great Thanksgiving. Thanks so much.
All right, Gary. Too, brother.
All right, there is Matt Every. We continue here. We turn our attention from the PGA Tour, DP World Tour, Dubai this week. Tim Barter, he's been doing it forever. Matt is just making that transition. He's doing it quite well. He will join me. Some thoughts on Rory getting a 7 when it comes to the Order of Merit, now called the Harry Vardon Trophy, and some other items. It's a Tuesday here, right here on Golf Channel and PGA Tour Radio's Channel 92. 5 Clubs back right after this. back in here on 5 Clubs Golf Channel, also PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. And this segment is brought to you by Century Insurance. Business insurance needs, if you have them, let Century meet them. They are right by you. All right, joining me now, kind enough, it's the evening in Dubai, final event for the DP World Tour this week. They had a scintillating event last week in Abu Dhabi. He's been doing it for a long time at the highest level for Sky Sports, not to mention being an elite instructor for great players, club professionals, which he was one himself back in the day as a teenager. I'm speaking of Tim Barter. Tim, it's good morning here. It's good evening there. How are you?
I'm extremely well, Gary. I'm very pleased to be chatting with you today. I've had the opportunity to come on the program before and haven't been able to make it work, so I'm delighted to be here. Well,
thanks so much. You know, I mentioned working with great players. You work with Seve. And you've seen the evolution of the tour, and as Rory is on the cusp of leaving Seve with 6 of these Harry Vardon trophies, going to 7, being one behind Monty, give us context of the accomplishment compared to the way that Monty and Seve did it and the way that Rory is on the doorstep of getting to 7. What's your perspective on how they did it and how he's doing it?
Well, I think firstly I'd like to say that Monty winning 7 in a row was, to me, something that we'd never see equaled. I'd never imagined in my lifetime that anyone would get to 7 or 8 Order of Merits as they were, race to Dubai as they are now. And Rory's on the threshold of doing 7, as you say, at the age of just 36. So he's destined to catch Monty and pass him, much to Monty's disgruntlement, I'm sure. But yeah, the times have changed massively. Obviously, now the tour has had to evolve because so many of our guys play over on the PGA Tour. The ranking points that they get on the DP World Tour race to Dubai are largely from majors, and then Rory will come across and play half a dozen tournaments on the DP World Tour to go along with his PGA Tour schedule. So it's a very different world. Monty was playing against the likes of Langer and Seve and Faldo and all these guys to try and win his 8 Order of Merit. So an exceptional performance from Monty to beat those big boys, but Rory's doing it with less starts. Rory will start 10 or 11 tournaments that count this year, and yet he's still managing to do it year after year. He's won it 3 years in a row. This will potentially be his 4th. He's being chased down by a couple of guys, Marco Penge and Tyrrell Hatton, who had the chance to stop him, but they're going to have to go really well. I think Marco needs to finish best, sort of tied second. He can't finish any lower than tied second with a couple of guys, otherwise Rory can't be beaten, and Tyrrell Hatton has to win the championship here at the DP World Tour Championship to actually stop Rory. So the cards are definitely in Rory's hands, and he desperately wants to get there. You could see from the emotion he showed last year when I interviewed him on the 18th green shortly after he'd won his 6th race to Dubai, and he equals Seve's tally of 6. He burst into tears. Just the thought of being mentioned alongside the great Severiano Ballesteros brought him to tears, and he was extremely emotional. So I'm not sure he'll be that emotional when he gets to 7, but he's chasing Monty down pretty hard, that's for sure.
You know, you were sharing with me before we came out of commercial break that you spent some time today with Tommy Fleetwood and Shane Lowry for a special that you guys are going to put out around the holidays, reflecting on Ryder Cup in particular. For Tommy, in this country, as you know, Tim, winning for the first time, he had such success on the DP World Tour, and he had these close calls. What do you think at 34 is his best trait?
I think his persistence and his perseverance and his work ethic. His work ethic is fantastic. He works really hard. He's got a wonderful technique. Obviously, he's always been known as a terrific ball striker. And Butch Harmon's perhaps taken that up just a notch, but the main difference is the putting. He's now become a good putter from being a streaky putter, somebody who putted well on occasion, but a lot of the time struggled on the greens, particularly on a Sunday. Perhaps the ball didn't have quite as much momentum going at the hole. He wasn't a confident putter. And so some of those big opportunities slipped by because the putter didn't behave itself. He's now turned himself into a confident putter, and the confidence that's come from winning the big championships, winning the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup, and then going to India and winning again, he's now a completely different animal in my eyes. He's someone now who relishes the opportunity to win, gets out there boldly attacking the golf course with his superb long game, and also on the greens as well. So Tommy Fleetwood is literally just getting started. And chatting to him today, one of the things I asked him was sort of how would he sum up 2025? And rather than what I expected, which was to say, well, my best year ever, it was absolutely fantastic. I've won on the PGA Tour, won the FedEx Cup, a winning Ryder Cup team, winning in India as well, etc., etc. He said a mix of disappointment at those missed opportunities. I feel I should have converted 1 or 2 of those, and then brilliant success, obviously. And he said the thing that he will take away from this year more than anything else was learning. I learnt more this year than I can ever remember learning in a previous year. So Tommy Fleetwood, the style of player and the quality of player he is, you add learning to that, he's a very dangerous animal coming up.
You know, Tim, he obviously from Rome to Bethpage, better. And I think that there are others, and you as closely as anybody have seen this depth in Europe, and whether it be specific to the Ryder Cup roster and even beyond that. I think it's well beyond that. But from Rome to Bethpage, was there somebody who you thought had gotten significantly better more than the others, of which I think there are a handful that are in a different place than they were 2 years ago?
You talk about in the Ryder Cup team
yes,
or outside of that?
On the team itself. Who made the greatest strides in those 2 years?
Oh, that's a good question. Tommy, without question, but we talked about Tommy already. Yeah, I don't really know. I mean, people like Ludwig Aberg obviously didn't have the greatest year last year, so you wouldn't be looking at him. Alex Noren popped out of nowhere to obviously come and be a vice captain. He could have easily got into the team, and he's another guy that's improving and improving despite being at the age of 40. But no, I don't think anybody improved more than Tommy. Tommy made the biggest jump in terms of taking an elite game to a very elite level. So I would have to nominate Tommy for that prize in terms of most improved player from the last Ryder Cup to this. Bob McIntyre also obviously has gone on to win on the other side of the pond. So yeah, I'm forgetting Bob. I shouldn't forget Bob. He'll tell me off. So yeah, Bob McIntyre would be a contender as well. He will tell me off too. But yeah, he's a contender as well. Obviously, he's taken his game up to the next level. He started working with a coach called Simon Shanks, which is an unfortunate name, but he's a brilliant coach. Works with Jordan Smith as well, who's a wonderful swinger of the golf club. So yeah, Bob McIntyre would also be right up there in that equation. He's making strides and continues to make them, and he's far from done yet. His next target, obviously, having won a winning Ryder Cup team away from home and at home, winning on the PGA Tour, winning big championships on the deep Scottish Open, you know, his target is now majors. He has to try and win majors. That's the next step in his career, the only unticked box. And obviously coming second at the US Open and only being beaten by a brilliant finish from JJ, then, you know, you have to say he's on the agenda for Bob McIntyre to challenge for majors in the next couple of years and potentially win one.
You adequately avoided getting told off by Bob McIntyre. Well done.
His mother tells me off. His mother tells me off all the time because she christened him Robert, and I have to call him Bob because everybody knows him as Bob. So she keeps telling me off for calling Bob rather than Robert. Who's christened Robert? Call him by his Christian name. There we are.
Let me ask you about Justin Rose, and it's not about is he better, but look, you've known this guy his whole golfing life. You knew his dad. You had this wonderful moment at the U.S. Open. You know how it is, the protocol of who's going to ask first and this interview's first. And you had this emotional exchange with him at Marion. For him to continue to want to do this and then in turn be able to do this, give people some perspective of your appreciation for him at 45, still being among the very best.
Well, as you mentioned, he's 45, and I've known him since he was less than 5. I was a golf pro at the club immediately next to the one that he grew up on, Northants Golf Club in Hampshire in England. I was at Hartley Whitney Golf Club. I coached him actually as a young boy as part of the Hampshire team, not for very long, but I was part of that equation. So I've known Justin an awful long time, knew his father Ken, who was a wonderful man and a great loss when we lost him too early. But yeah, Justin is an amazing athlete apart from anything else. He works incredibly hard on his fitness. So the fact he's 45 is largely irrelevant because he's fit and flexible and able to compete with the big boys, hit the ball as far as he needs to hit it to contend. His desire is still there, which is the big thing when you get to that age. And he has a definite feeling that he's capable of winning another major. He doesn't think one major on his resume is anything like enough. And obviously having finished second at the Masters this year and second at the Open last year, there's evidence that definitely he can still win that major. And that's one of the reasons why he, when put up for Ryder Cup sort of captaincy, they're saying, well, you Ryder Cup captain in Ireland. I think he's hesitant because he thinks he's got that ability to win a major and he doesn't want to, perhaps the captaincy will distract him from that quest. So I think he might want to leave that captaincy and go on to maybe 4 years' time and give everything he can for the next 2 years, both to make the Ryder Cup team, which would be an incredible achievement at 47, but also to win that that elusive second major, which he definitely feels he's capable of. But a totally professional individual. He does everything right in the game. He's one of my heroes and has been since I first met him as a young boy. He's a tremendous human being, apart from being a wonderful golfer.
I know this is just, a guess. Do you think Luke will do this? And look, it's not just entirely his choice. Do you think he will go for 3 in a row?
Well, I can tell you that the players are heartily encouraging him. All of them are saying, Luke, come on, come back and do it again. what is there to gain by doing it again? He would be the first captain if he was to win, and in Ireland with a strong team that will have almost certainly, he's got a great chance of winning with his set of skills. So he would have the chance to be the first captain, I think, in any Ryder Cup, American or European, to win 3 in a row. So there's a bit of history beckoning, but a lot of people would say, hey, you won at home in Rome in fantastic style, you won away, which was New York, and the atmosphere there, which was so difficult to overcome, and you've done it. You know, he's got a lot to lose and not much to gain by going again, other than that slice of history. But I know the players desperately want him. And because we lost so many of our succession line to the Live Tour, you know, the McDowells and the Stensons and the Poulters and Westwoods, they were all queuing up to do it. It doesn't look like they're going to get that opportunity. So we haven't got that many candidates. Maybe Molinari, maybe Noren, maybe they bring back a previous captain in someone like Thomas Bjorn, or Darren Clarke perhaps could do it in Ireland. But they traditionally don't like the guys over 50 anymore. They like still to compete on the main tour and be alongside the fellas. So, you know, I think there's a strong case for everybody else wanting Luke to do it. But obviously there will be a sacrifice because he puts so much into it with his family. Obviously he has to say to them, hey, I'm going away for another 2 years and I'm not going to be able to pay attention to you in the way that I would like to. So that's a big ask for a family who've already given up 4 years. So we remain to be seeing what his decision will be, but fingers crossed, particularly from me, because I think he's one of the finest captains we've ever had. And I've done, I think, 15 Ryder Cups, so I've been around a lot of them. And yeah, he's up there with Paul McGinley and a couple of other guys for captain. Fantastic for me anyway.
No question about it. Tim, I can tell you early morning golf in the States is a glorious thing. We'll be up watching early Thursday. This is a great event. You got a wonderful finish last week in Abu Dhabi. Thank you so much for taking the time on a Tuesday evening in Dubai.
I really appreciate you having me on, Gary. And yeah, we're up for a spectacular week. Marco Pench hits it as far as Rory McIlroy, and this is a long hitters course. So this race to Dubai isn't over yet.
Thanks so much. Tim Barter, Sky Sports, he's still doing it. Doesn't do every week. He does 8 to 10 events, but we appreciate him. Those were winning words presented by Century Insurance. If you have business insurance needs, it is Century that will be right by you. We come back here. Some thoughts on spending some time with some key people. Fairly important people as we put a bow on this Tuesday edition of 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Channel 92 on Sirius XM. Back right after this. Back in here on 5 Clubs Golf Channel, PGA Tour Radio, Sirius XM. This segment is brought to you by Golf Pride. They've got their design studio at their world headquarters down there in the Sand Hills of North Carolina, right there in Pinehurst. And when it comes to going in there or just going to your shop, wherever it is that you get grips, you have more options, the best materials. They are going to stand up longer and they're better. It is Golf Pride. This past Sunday night, and this is the second year in a row, I was flattered to be asked to join Ken Duke and friends. And he's got many friends, and there are a lot of events that are put together that are fronted by people who play for a living. And as you can see on the left, that's Nancy Lopez, Chris DeMarco after me, Ken Duke, Jim Furyk, Michelle McGann. And there, of course, is Jack. You saw Barbara Nicholas in there as well, the First Lady of Golf. Jack is going to be 86 years of age in January. And this conversation that we conducted at Ken's event that raises a ton of money for the First Tee, for the Folds of Honor Foundation, for hospitals as well, is great. But to sit there and to see Chris DeMarco and Jim Furyk, who, by the way, in 2005, where they were on Jack's President's Cup team, those two guys went 7-0-3. And I said to the crowd that Jack has been dining out on their performance for 20 years. But I also, it's not easy when you do a panel that includes Jack Nicklaus and you have other guys who've had wonderful careers, when you start to mention their careers and then you get to Jack, theirs feel not less. But I just said, when I introduced them, I said, these guys, all of them, have combined to win 94 PGA Tour events, 19 majors, and they finished second in 26 majors. If you want to get bogged down in the details of who won what, go ahead. And they all kind of got it, because Jack, was responsible for a lot. But the thing that I was struck most by was the emotion, real emotion that Chris DeMarco and Jim Furyk and Ken Duke expressed and emoted talking about the guy who was in the middle there, Jack Nicklaus. And then when I said and asked questions of all of them, and I said to Jack, we'll let you put the bow on this question. And every time he would turn to me and say, is it time for the bow? Yep, it's time for the bow. And he has been driving this industry for more than 6 decades, having won his first U.S. Open in 1962. But as I said, he very easily could have won his first in 1960 at Cherry Hills, playing alongside with Hogan. And his thoughts on the game still as full and as fluid and as robust and as righteous as ever. What a treat. All right, tomorrow, Josh Carpenter will talk the business of golf. Events getting added. We'll talk to him about that. And Davis Love III will join me. The RSM is next week. His thoughts on the event that he helped create and foster for all of us here at Signature Sports Group and 5 Clubs. Have a great Tuesday. We'll see you tomorrow, everybody.